Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome again to another episode of Ron's Opinion Don't Matter on the OG Network. Hopefully, y'all having a blessed, wonderful day. Hopefully, all is well with y'all. God is good. God is good. God is good. Um, the title of the video today is Smart Money. I know I'm gonna get the trolls. I know I'm gonna get the haters, the hatettes, the lovers, and the lovettes. And it is what it is. But the reason why I titled this video "Smart Money" is because um, I think sometimes you got, regardless, this is something that I love to talk about. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm right about everything because I'm not. I mean, I've been wrong many a times. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, but there's some things I know and there's some things I don't know. But I love talking about money because number one, that's something that we all live by. I mean, outside of having a relationship with God, because that's my number one. Money is something that you have to have access to in order to survive in this world and to function in this world. It's just the way it is. And it's, as opposed to trying to change it, I'm trying to learn it and figure out a ways um, to better position myself in it. And hopefully, as I do it, for those that come in on my live, please hit the like button, um, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very much. Real talk. When I talk about smart money, I talk about investing. I do it all the time. I was trying to figure out this morning what I wanted, where I wanted to go with this video, and I know I'm going to get the trolls, but it is what it is with that. Because that's what we do in the morning time. We just go at each other, and it's fun. Like, I ain't gonna sit there and hold y'all. A lot of it is very fun. It's hilarious. But a lot of times, even though the humor is in there, there's a lot that I try to unpack with people, and it's my view of how I see things in the world. And you can like it, dislike it, agree with it, disagree with it. But I can say this much for some of the ones that have actually maybe consumed some of what I was saying has actually benefited from it. So when I start talking about today, it was about smart money. Um, I always try to get back to this, and even though Friday I am going to do my broke man investing, and I'm always try to do that on Fridays, I still had to come back to this because I feel like a lot of times people don't realize um, a lot of government decisions affect you personally, and I use this statement a lot of times saying that the stock market is one of my number one educators. It's because it tells me a lot without saying anything, and how people are moving money, how people are manipulating. And don't get me wrong, the whole stock market isn't totally manipulated, but there is a portion of it that is. I mean, and you got to know how to be able to stomach stuff. And listen, I'm not a financial advisor. Understand this. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing that I say is advice for you to do anything. A lot of times when I'm on these lives and I talk about money, it's because I talk about what I'm going to do or what I've have done or already done or planning to do. And as it relates to today, um, a lot of my investments are up. A lot. Some of them are still down, which I'm cool with because most of what I invest in is dividend stocks, and I do it for a reason because I want the income. So that's my whole move behind investing with dividends is because I want the income. Am I trying to get rich? If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it is what it is. But as long as I can keep establishing more of an income, try to do my best to outpace inflation, I think I'll be okay. But if you're on this chat, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Say what's up in the chat. Don't just sit back in the background and not say anything. Say hello. If you're a person that invests, feel strongly about investing, or if you're a person that not just in the stock market but anything, say what's up. I mean, some people need that advice, that knowledge that you may have also. It might help somebody. So say what's up. I mean, say what you're doing, possibly. Maybe you might have your own business. Maybe it's something that you're passionate about as it comes to increasing your income. like I have real estate. It's StreamYard. And sorry about that. I'm using the StreamYard now, and it's just that's why I usually use my phone when I'm doing my videos this way, but because some of this other technology ain't all that reliable and it sucks. But I just tried to do it this way to see what will happen. But anyway, with that said, um, I would say this to people, and like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have all the answers, but be smart with your money. Like real talk. You know what I mean, if you want to lie, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. But just be smart with your money. Be very smart with your money because a lot of times people don't realize that when a lot of people that own a lot of these stocks and these companies and the level of money that they have the ability to manipulate a lot. It does. It just the strength of their, these billionaires, investors that have a lot of money. They can take positions out of stuff and basically kill the value of the stock. That's the risk part. If you can stomach that long enough and keep the pace and know what you're buying and looking at the company financials and stay on point and know when to hold your money, you're not going to get this 100%. But if you're patient enough and you're consistent enough and you don't be jumping the gun too fast, you can make a good amount. You can make good on the stock market. Now, I know there's a lot of people that look at all of these charts and all of these graphs and all of this technology. I don't do none of that. And I'm not going to sit there and tell you that I do because I don't. I don't look at none of that. I can care less about all these graphs and stuff like that. I'm not a stock trader. I do not go in the stock market with the intent to buy and sell and make a quick dollar. That's not my strategy. That's never been my strategy, and I just don't do it. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that their way is bad and my way is not. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is that's not what I do. And I don't tell people what they do because I'm not a financial advisor. But what the thing that I do is this, is that I am by far more of a dividend investor. And that's why I buy into companies that are solid. And I just consistently, over time, invest. I wait for the market to crash, and then I buy more. If I see that the companies that I invested in are solid, I put more money. That's what I do. I don't, you know what I mean? There's once in the blue, I might close out my position in the company, depending on what I see. And I say, if I'm up a decent amount of money and I see a better position to put my money in, and everything that I do, of course, there's a level of risk that comes with it. I don't care about the risk. How y'all doing? Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very much. I don't care about the risk. I care about the reward. Yes, investing in the stock market can go bad if you're not paying close attention to what's going on. You know what I mean? But it can also go extremely well if you are smart and you watch what you do. You look at the company's financial, look at the direction that they're going. There's a lot more that you have to do beyond just buying stock to be able to maximize your return if you're looking for a return. I don't invest that way. I invest in things that are that people do and use every day. Here's my point today. I don't own I don't own Nike sneakers. I just don't own them. I bought Nike sneakers, not Jordans. I've never owned a pair of Jordans. I bought Nike sneakers in time here and there, but I don't have none currently. But one thing I do is I own Nike stock. I don't own an iPhone. I've never purchased an iPhone in my life, but I do own Apple stock. And I agree with you, Joyce. How you doing? God bless you. Welcome in. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it very much. And I do. It's not a short game. And the long game, in my opinion, is the better play. It's always been a better play. And don't get me wrong, there's some things you're going to have to learn how to stomach. But the long game is, to me, in a better play. Brian looks like the preacher outside the liquor store daily. What's up? That's funny. It's all good though. Yeah, and the long haul. I mean, what's up, Smith? How you doing? God bless you. Prison, I guess that's what that is. God bless you. That's funny though. But again, the long game has been my play. So if you look at how your 401ks are set up, and I'm a fan of 401ks, and I'm not saying 401ks you shouldn't. I tell anybody if your job has a 401k, or I'm not saying all 401 because I know there's different 403s or whatever. I'm just using 401k because that's the most common statement. But if they're matched, there is a level of what they match as it relates to investing. And what you should do is maximize that out. Like if you don't do anything else, if they gonna match it, whatever they gonna offer you through your 401k, and they match it out, and whatever they have, max it. Do I think America's contraband should be returned to its people? I'm not sure about that one. I mean, when you talking about like illegal stuff, like drugs and stuff like that, man, destroy the stuff. That's all that should be done to destroy it. I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of alcohol, but I know people drink. I'm not a fan of cigarettes, but I know people smoke. I'm not a fan of none of that stuff, but people do it. I don't personally do it because I just don't see, I like being in my right mind. I don't like being high. I don't like being drunk. I don't know how. I never could understand the concept behind it. I see people say, "Oh, it loosens you up. You have more fun." Whatever. I just never seen the benefit of it. I just don't, and that's why I don't do it. So usually when I hear the stories, it's like, "And you're gonna go do that again?" Like you fell asleep in somebody's house, you peed all over yourself, you found yourself somewhere you never been, and that was fun to you. Like I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying, and that was fun to you to the point where you ready to go spend your money and do it again. I mean, that's your choice. All right, gun buybacks. I'm gonna tell y'all like this: if you own a gun, this is my opinion alone. If you own a gun and they talking about buybacks, if you take your gun and buy and let them buy your gun, you stupid. I ain't never selling my guns back. Never. Never am I going to turn my guns in or sell them back to that. No, unless I intend to use that money to go buy me something better. No. I think gun buybacks is a way for the government to try to disarm the citizens. That's all it is. There's no other reason behind gun buybacks other than trying to disarm citizens. That's it. They keep trying to paint the picture like, oh, gun buybacks are for so that people can come in and turn in their guns. No. Why? Why would somebody take the one thing that the best weapon you had possible available to you and turn it into the very people that may have a tendency to turn around and use it against you? No one has been more irresponsible with firearms than the government. I'm telling you on that. So, but I disagree with I don't you I no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, and I never would do it. Yeah, I never would do it. You know what I mean? But again, all right, since we're on the subject of guns, right? That's why I invest in guns. That's why I have money invested in gun companies. I invest in Ruger, who pays a dividend. I invest in Smith & Wesson and anything that's gun related. Why? Number one, because I support the gun industry. I believe in it. They make weapons that are more powerful. I don't trust government, so that's why I want to make sure that me, myself, and every single citizen in the United States of America has the ability to have access to the most powerful weapons possible, because we can't trust any form of politician that we elect in position to do the right thing by the people. And that's what make them stay in line, is when the people are organized and work together to make sure the government is doing what they're supposed to do by the people, not for other people that ain't supposed to be in this country, not go give it to all of these other people around the world and do all of this stuff when you're taking my tax dollars and doing. I want to take care of home first. So that's why I think, again, using your money and being smart with your money, no matter what way you look at it. Florida has open carry now. And all right, I agree with that. I agree with the open carry. Now, do I recommend it? Me personally, no. But I agree with the open carry. I agree. I think every state in the United States, here's my take on it as it relates to firearms. And when I say, even though this video is titled Smart Money, I think it's smart that you take some of your money to make sure you have some good, decent weapons. And I'm not saying just guns, I'm saying weapons. But do I support the open carry? Yes. I think all states and all gun laws that have any level of restriction as it relates to people owning a firearm should be done away with. This is where I'm pissed off at the Supreme Court. They need to go cycle through all of these cities and all of these states and all of these counties and all of these places that keep trying to make things complicated for citizens. I don't think none of this stuff that they may, you should have to go through. I don't think in background checks. I'm sorry. I know people don't want to agree with it. I don't care. Background checks to me is a joke. I don't want no background checks. I don't want anything. You should be able to go into a place, get the best weapons possible, and purchase it. If you're a criminal and you got bad intentions, if they catch you, put you away and get. And that's why I think they need to just put them to death. You go take life, and you think it's okay to take life, then you should just be put to death. Stop making it complicated for everyday law-abiding citizens to have access to the best weapons, because I do not trust government, and that's just my stance on it. You don't have to agree. Do I support nut job killing kids? No, I don't. If you touch a child, if you touching children and you're a pedophile, off you. Kill you. Get rid of them. Like I said, I'm not a person that can, but I just, people, wicked people need to be put to death. If you proven to be 100% wicked like that and you taking other innocent lives, and they need to put you down. I don't care who you are. No, for me, no. I don't want any politician deciding my fate, because here's the thing. They're not my boss. I am their boss. If you elect a politician into any form of government, you elected them, you hired them. They ran in, them running the campaign is like coming to a job, filling out the application. They got to sell themselves to the public as a good leader or somebody worthy of the job. But then if they turn around and take the power of the position that you gave them, you elected them to do, and then weaponize it against you, then that's a problem. And then so to turn around and try to write laws or write restrictions to restrict the very people that elected you is just asinine to me. And then people sit back and trust. They say they don't trust the government, but they letting the government make decisions that take away their ability to keep the government in line. You're right, and I agree. That's why I want minimized government. I mean, even if they go away, you probably ain't gonna never miss them. Even if the government went away, you probably won't miss them. And that's real true. I don't trust government on that level. I mean, you have to somewhat give them some trust, but it's very small that I have in any government. And I don't care who they are. I voted for Trump. Do I trust Trump 100%? No, I trust God. That's it. Now, just so happened that for the most part, I've been getting what I voted for. And this is not about me, about Trump. And I'm not complaining about it, but I'm getting what I voted for. But I still don't put my level of trust in people. That's it. They're human beings at the end of the day. The government has already been shut down. All right, so the person that said the government has already been shut down, what did you learn from that? So for the person that said the government is already shut down, Nico, what did you learn from that? Yes, you're right. You're right, Smith. They should. And I'm 100% on that one. Joyce said I will reduce government down a lot. And Joyce, you've been there a long time. Me and you always on the same page on a lot of stuff. But yes, I'm there. Trolls ain't got nothing else to do with their life, Donald. That's why they love me. Demolish the whole system. That's okay. But my question was, what did you learn from the key that I tell people about this is that if you haven't learned anything about this government, if you haven't learned anything about this government shutdown, is number one, is that let's say a person that's getting public assistance, right? So the government shutting down is going to affect the person that's getting the food stamps. But that's your fault because you lived a life where you had to rely on what the government allowing you to have. That's your fault. That's not the government's fault. That's your fault. See, when the government started threatening, saying that, oh, we're going to shut down the government, we're going to shut down the government, we're going to shut down the government. Again, for people that rely on the government for all the things that they get, that was their fault because you somehow or another thought that it was an unlimited resource. And you thought that these things could never happen. This is why when I was a kid, and I used to hear people say, make sure you create your own destiny. Don't rely on the government. Make sure you build your own wealth. Make sure you do this on your own. Make sure you do that on your own. When I was a young kid, I didn't understand what they mean, but they was talking out of experience. My thing is this, is that it is their fault. And I'm explaining to you why it's there. It is if I rely on the government, I made that choice, right? I made that choice. They may have offered something, but if my total livelihood is contingent on what the government gives me, that's my fault. Not the government's fault. That's my fault. And the reason why I say it's my fault is because I did not look into all the other options that I had outside of the government. I only said I'm going to live my life based on what the government gives me. That's my fault. I chose that. $40 million people on assisting in socialism. Again, you're right. If if you're not a millionaire, it's your own damn fault. I mean, listen, I'm not a millionaire. I can tell you right now, I ain't no millionaire. But again, nothing ain't nothing done on your own. I didn't say that. I said if you totally rely on the government for your livelihood, that's your fault. Here's the thing. If all my livelihood based on what I could physically do, if I live my life right now based on everything that I can physically do, me personally, this is where you're missing it at. And based on what I can physically do. And what if something happens to me that I can't physically do it anymore? Now, I didn't take none of the money or the money anything that I made, and I didn't take that money to use that money, some of that money to use it and invest it in other places to make me more money. And now my money is working for me. If my total livelihood is contingent on what I can physically do, and because every time I got a nickel, a dollar, or a quarter, I went and had fun with it as opposed to investing it. If my health collapses and I can't physically do it anymore, that means that everything else is going to be affected in my life because I can't physically do it no more. That's the point that I'm trying to make when it comes to that. It's the same thing with the government. If you choose to let all of your life and your resources come from the government, and the government say, I'm not giving it to you no more, that is your fault because you let that happen. When I get up in the morning time, outside of me going to my job every single day, when I get my paycheck, I treat my investment the same way I treat my bills. I got to invest just like I pay my bills. Why? Because I got to grab a portion of all of these publicly traded companies to make sure that my hand is in the kitty of everything that I can. Why? Because if something happens to me, I got something else, and the United States economy is working for me just as much as I'm working to provide money for the economy. Because I'm part of this, but I also want to benefit from that. Yeah, you might be right about that, Nico. I'm not too sure, but you might be right. You might be right about that too. Think about it is I'm not going to be here. Neither will you. So we don't know. I'm not going to be here. None of us are going to be here to know what it's going to be. We got to take listen, your short lifespan, you got to take into account that this short lifespan that we have, you got to make the best of it while you're here. I mean, the history is something that you learn from. The future is something that you hope for, but you got to take advantage of the gift, which is the present right now. And you got to take full advantage of that while you can. Me personally, no. Oh, okay, cool, Nico. I'm just saying, I know I might. They're more likely I'm not going to be here. I don't know your age. I'm just making an assumption. Yeah, I was born in poverty. Personally, and yeah, I was. Yeah. We grew up poor. I personally grew up poor. Like poor. Not knowing if you're going to eat tomorrow poor. You know what I mean? Stomach growling like crazy poor. I mean, if that happens, I don't know. Like in my life, I grew up poor. And this is the reason why I talk the way I talk, because nah.
And you know what, and I agree with that. A man is supposed to leave a legacy to make things easier for people behind us. And listen, I agree with you. I agree. But there is this flip side to that too, because sometimes we can make it so great that we start creating a lazier generation. And sometimes the greatness that we create, which is I agree, I think so too. But a lot of times it starts to, like, here's the thing. And the reason why I say that is because nowadays most of us own vehicles and we drive wherever we want to go at. But let that same person have to walk a long distance and find out how winded you're going to become because you haven't been walking a lot. So I think a lot of times, because we make things so much better, a lot of times it starts to create a lot more lazier people who don't understand the beauty in working hard and being consistent and pushing a little harder. And I'm not saying all of it all the time, but that can be a downside to that too. You saying legacies die and nothing is remembered. All right, you said nothing is remembered. And listen, I get where you're getting with that, but that's not 100% true. And the reason why I say that is that there are information right now that has been here for thousands and thousands of years and it's not forgotten. The only way the thing is, most people are going to never be remembered. But there is a lot of history that's remembered because it's recorded. And the greater you are on this world, the more your history is going to be recorded. And the more you're going to be remembered. Now, you ain't going to be here. Because here's the thing. Some of the greatest people that ever lived are no longer here. But yet you read about them, heard about them, or learned something about them. And to what Joyce is saying, because I was leading up to this point, is that number one, Jesus Christ, who is my Lord and Savior. There is no way you can go where you haven't heard his name and what he has done. Right? Now, the other thing is that there's other people that has lived long enough and done amazing things. Martin Luther King, right here in this country, still being talked about and long been gone. You get what I'm saying? There's people that have lived hundreds of years ago. Their history is still here. So although I agree with you, because most people will die and no one will remember them, but depending on the impact that you have on this world, it's going to determine how much people remember you when you're gone. That's the point that I'm trying to make. How am I better off? Nico, I don't know how old you are, but you got way more opportunity today than you ever had. I have more opportunity today than I ever had when I was coming up. Like, I look at this, like when my parents used to say to me, "Oh, you got more opportunity than we had when we was coming up." I didn't understand it because I was young, but they were right. And as I got older, I realized that my children had way more opportunity than I did. Now, all the opportunity that I had is still here, right? But then there's way more opportunity, because here's the thing. We didn't have social media when I was growing up. We didn't have the internet when I was growing up. We didn't have cell phones when I was growing up. We didn't have this type of access that we have today. We didn't have investment platforms like this. We didn't have it easier for you to be able to invest. We didn't have none of this stuff when I was growing up as a kid. That's the frustrating part for somebody of my age. Be like, man, if I had this when I was a kid, I'd be rich. If I had that when I was a kid, I'd be this. A lot of times this generation, because they don't see it, they born into it, they don't realize what it took to get it here. They just look at it like, oh, that's just the way it is. Riches are taken out by wealth. It can be. Jesus will never forgive me. I 100% disagree. Jesus, one thing about Christ is his room, and there's always room for one more. That's the one thing I learned, bro, is that there's always room for one more. One thing about Christ is that's the thing. That's why God says that man thoughts are not God's thought, and God thoughts are not man thoughts. What we may think is unforgivable, what we may think is not, you can't come back from. That's what the way humans think. God is not human. He's above that. Even though he came in human form because to undo the damage that humans did. One thing about God is he's a very loving God. And there's always room at the cross for someone who think that there is no room for me. Believe me when I tell you, that is the biggest lie Satan ever told, is that God will never forgive you. And yes, he will. Yeah, it's a lot of opportunity out there. If you take advantage, you get out there and explore. You know what I'm saying? Explore. That's what you have to do. You got to explore. Nothing truly matters. Life is what you make of it. Yes, it does. And it only matters until you make it matter. I mean, I see what you're saying, but it does matter when you make it matter. You know what I mean? Didn't even have a toilet. Hey, I understand that part. I'm not rich, so it didn't make me rich, but it made a lot of people rich. I can tell you that much. I know a lot of people on social. Well, I don't know them personally, but I've seen a lot of people on social media because I've done some digging and homework, and I've seen that. And I've seen people that have gotten rich and gotten extremely wealthy off of that. I'm personally no. I actually enjoy what I do, even when I get criticized. People call me names and stuff like that. It's fun. Like I grew up in the city of Philadelphia, and that's all we did was, in some places they call it roasting. In Philly, we call it busting on each other. So we made fun of each other all the time. That was fun. We wasn't fragile and sensitive like a lot of this generation is, where as soon as you say something to them, they got tears running out their eyes. Oh, he called me a stupid fool. This, bro, get over it, though. Like, it's not that serious. And here's the thing: we wasn't ready to shoot somebody, kill somebody, and stab somebody because they said something that was funny. We was like, oh, he got you with that one. That was fun. Yeah, I wasn't one as a kid. Like I've worked. I was hustling, and I'm not, when I say hustle, I'm not talking about drug dealing, streets, breaking the law and stuff like that. I was a person that learned early and long time ago, when I was about, I'm gonna say 10 to 12 years old, that if you did stuff for people that they didn't feel like doing or want to do, or you knew how to do that they didn't know how to do, you can actually make money. And once I figured it out, my life started to change. Didn't make me rich, but I was able to feed myself. You know what I mean? I was able to find ways to make money. I mean, things got a little better over time in my household, but we struggled hard. Like, it was real hard. I mean, so I know what it's like to be in a house with no heat. I know what it's like to be in a house with no running water, when stuff get cut off and stuff like that. And you're a kid and you don't understand why, but when you get older, you start to say, I know what that's like. And listen, most people will be ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. It actually made me tough. It made me a fighter, because it was like, okay, there's a way to prevent this. That's why today, getting back somewhat to when I was talking about being smart with your money, I own stock in American Water. I own stock in York Water, and I forget the other name of it off the top of my head. But these are 3 water supply companies that pay out dividends that I own stock in. Why? Because I know they're going to pay me a dividend. So I keep increasing my positions in these companies. Same thing with gas and fuel. I own stock in Sunoco. I own stock in Mobil. I own stock in ExxonMobil, Sunoco, Shell, Hess, all of them. Why? Because they pay dividends. Because I know that I drive a vehicle and I'm going to have to put gas in my car. So it helps offset the cost of that. I invest my money in these companies and they pay me out a dividend. So honestly speaking, because my positions in these companies, I've increased to the point now that, yeah, I go to the gas station and I pay at the pump. But by the time that month is out, all of the money that I have spent on fuel has came back in the form of dividend for me to reinvest to increase my dividend payout. I'm giving y'all gold right there. If you really start to think about it, this is America. Slowly but surely, I kept walking that show. So what I did was, and this is why, getting back to smart money, I invest the way I invest. Now I'm gonna tell y'all this is why I do it. When people ask me if you're going to invest in something, what would you invest in? I always say the best way I would say it for myself was I invested the way I spend money and where I see people spend money. So if I go into Walmart and I see people in Walmart spending money, right? This is how I chose my investment strategy. This is not recommendation. This is not, oh, you should do this, you should do that. I'm telling you how I chose my investment strategy. I don't look at candlesticks. I don't look at grass. I don't look at none of that stuff. If I go into Walmart and I see people in Walmart, right? Not just the Walmart itself. I look at what they buying in Walmart. So I'm looking at people's carts and I say, okay, I see them buying Kellogg's cereal, Post cereal. I see them buying Campbell's soup. I see them buying all of that, right? So what do I, Goya stuff. So what I do is I say, okay, I write all of these companies down and then I go research if they pay dividends. After I go research if they pay dividends, I say, okay, cool, they do. Then I go into my account, I put $1 in every last one of them. That's it, $1, $1, because you can fractional buy stock. So I went in my stock and said, okay, $1, $1, $1, $1, $1, $1. I just put $1. And some may say, why do you put $1? Why? Because I just want to put it into my portfolio. I don't use the watch list. I just put $1. Now, I go into my account and I switch it to total return. Total return is always going to tell me what I'm making money on and what I'm losing money on. If that price goes above that dollar, when I first put that dollar in there as an average cost and it goes up, I don't touch it no more. I just say, okay, I'll wait till it go down. But there are some that's going to go below the way I originally bought it at. And then I add more money. That is exactly what I do. When I'm out and about, I see where people spend money. If I see people going to the gas station, I go see if that gas station is publicly traded. And when I go in the stores, wherever I go, and that's how I invest. I literally have money in over 500 different companies because that's how I invest. Diversification to the extreme is me. When they start talking about diversifying your portfolio, I am one who diversifies my portfolio to the extreme. And that's what I do. And this is how I did it. I started doing this years ago. And listen, when I found out that you can buy stock and they made it so much simpler now, I went in full steam. No one had to convince me. No one had to talk to me because I understood the game. The problem is I didn't have the money to work with. I was doing okay working wise, and I had a little bit of money in my pocket. But when I seen that I was like, man, they didn't have this when I was a kid. They didn't have Robinhood. They didn't have Webull. They had none of this stuff. So you didn't have to encourage me. I already was encouraged when I saw it. I was like, oh, this is game changer for me. And that's what I did. I went in full steam. And what I did was I went in full steam. And I still stick to the same pattern. Once in a while I deviate. I might do something a little bit different, but I stick to the same pattern. If I see people spending money there and it's publicly traded on the stock market, I go buy money in it. Is that 100% guarantee I'm going to make money? Nope. But if they want to keep paying dividends, I'm still in. And that's the way I invest, because I invest for the income, not to get rich. I invest for the income. You're absolutely right, Joyce. I don't know who you're responding to because there's a lot going on in the chat and I can't see it all. But I agree with you 100%. You see, going back to what Joyce responded to, and I don't know who asked the question. Here's the thing. and I'm going to get on the subject of why I believe this and why, in my opinion, what Joyce the statement of Joy made right here is extremely true to me. Right. This is why it's true to me. When Christ came into my life, listen when I say I wasn't seeking God and I wasn't searching for God. When Christ came into my life and I gave my life to Christ, right? And I was born again in Christ, and that is a real experience. It's not fate. It's real. It's a real experience. You're going to go through a new birth experience in Christ. When I gave my life to Christ and I start and I wasn't a person to pick up the Bible. I wasn't a person that went to church. That wasn't me. I was just living life, whatever. And the first time when I heard God's voice, when I felt God's presence, I realized whatever that was at the time, it was more real than I was. Like, I don't know if you'll understand what I'm saying, but it was more real than I was. Because what it felt like was life. It felt like life abundantly. And I said, whatever this God is that's seeking me out, hunting me down. I'm saying hunting, but hunting me down. I need to know more about him, because whatever that is, that voice, that presence, that love, it felt everlasting. And so therefore I went to learn. That's funny. And I went there, and then and so I started looking at things a lot differently then. Now, here's my point. I said, okay, and this is just how I see it. Not saying I'm right, not saying I'm wrong. Just hear me out. I said, okay, if God is eternal and we're not, that means that everything that we do, because we're imperfect, everything that we do is going to have a flaw in it. So I started looking at everything that we did as human beings. And I realized that we always have a flaw. Like, it's always a trade-off or a flaw or something like that. And it's not going to last forever. No matter what we build, no matter what we make, or what we construct in our head and what we bring to form, at some point it's going to break down, break up, rust, deteriorate, break down, and it's going to go right back to the earth. That's just what's going to happen. But the resources to do it don't. You get what I'm saying? It's always recycling itself. So the only thing that makes sense to me was whatever created this clearly had the intent for it to never go away. It's the same thing with the water. It rains, the water dries up, and it just falls somewhere else. But it never goes away. It just dries up from the earth and falls somewhere else. So when I hear people like scientists trying to say, oh, the ocean and all that, no, water goes nowhere. It just always here. We're never going to run out of fluid. It's always going, it's eternal. It never goes. And I say, in order for something to create this way, it can only create it out of its own being. And then I looked at the earth, it being round, which represent eternal. Then I looked at the sun and how all the planets revolve around the sun. It represents eternal. And I said, whatever created this clearly had the intent for it to never go away. Even human beings, how we reproduce life. And I said, something disrupted it for us. Because I think that the original intent for us was for us to be here forever. It just makes sense now. I wouldn't have never saw this without Christ. I wouldn't have never saw this without God being in my heart. So I said, whatever created this wanted us to stay here, wanted it to be here forever. It doesn't mean I'm saying that we are. What I'm saying is that you can clearly see the intent behind it is that we were here to be, it wanted us to be here forever. And what ended up coming out of that was when Jesus said he offered you eternal life, It's one thing to say that, but you also got to prove that you has power over life and death to present that or offer that to someone else, right? So when you start to see the stories of witnesses of people who said what Jesus did and the miracles that he performed, biblically wise, to wait to someone's body go into rigor mortis before you decide to call them out of the grave, basically, I mean, I'm not saying it exactly, but to raise them from the dead and they've already been dead for a while shows people that you have power over life and death. So no one can offer you eternal life unless they have power over life and death and has shown some demonstration that they do. It's the same way that when Jesus walked on water. Now we can conjure up a way to do that. But when you tell the sea to calm down and it obeys you, that's a different move. You get what I'm saying? Now here we are to this day. Jesus his physical form been going a long time ago. But there's billions of people that have been touched by Christ, healed by Christ, delivered by Christ, set free by Christ, have made trillion unrelentless stories of God still doing things to this day. And yet people choose not to believe it. Now they have that choice. I just choose to accept it because I know his presence, and his presence represent eternally because of my new birth experience in Christ. Hopefully that helps somebody. I still believe that Trump will stop all wars and make America great again. Not the American was of a great, maybe it was great before Columbus landed on Plymouth Rock. Here's the thing. I like Trump, and I'm gonna be real with you. I like Trump, and I think he already stopped 8 wars. But it's not up to Trump. Making America great again is not solely up to Trump. He's spearheading it, but really making America great is up to everybody. That's it. In order for America to be what he hoped it to be, everybody, the vast majority of American citizens have to get on board and get behind that. If you're a citizen of America and this is your country, you should want it to be great. I can't understand why somebody wouldn't want that. You should want your country to be great. And you should be willing to put in the work to help make it great. And that's my point. Trump or any one person is going to be able to do it alone. That takes a group team effort. Now you can spend your time and your day every day hating the president because you just want him to be wrong and fail. Or you could be a man with a backbone and say, you know what? This is my country, and I do want it to be great. I do want it to thrive. I do want it to do well. And my brothers and sisters in America, I want us all to prosper. And if I look at what he's doing as opposed to how I feel, it's been vast majority of it's been beneficial to American citizens if you take your feelings out of it and really pay attention. But because most people have been trained to hate, that's what they do. If I was running the United States of America, it would be very little different than what I see Trump is doing that I would do differently. Now, understand this. I got melanin in my skin. So a lot of times people think because you got melanin in your skin, you should think or have a certain concept of how you should see things. But I'm trying to explain to y'all is this. I love this country. And I can care less about the critics because all they have is criticism. They're not helping the situation anyway. They just want to criticize. So let them criticize. They don't care. They are never going to support anything other than running their mouth. That's it. They have nothing to offer but running their mouth. They're not doing anything great. They're not doing anything powerful. They act like they are. And they want people to reward them or congratulate them or make them feel better when they do, when they think they're doing it. That's the reason why, if I was running the country, if I was the president of the United States, I would be doing almost exactly what Trump is doing. And I'm melanated in my skin. Why? Because I personally seen the level of damage that the Democratic Party has done to my community. And I seen the level of damage that the Democratic Party has done to the melanated community, and they have done nothing but lie and take from it. And I know most people, no matter how much you talk to them, they still stuck there. They'll never come off that, and that's cool. They never gonna come off of that because they are programmed to think that if you melanin in your skin, you're not supposed to think no other way but that. They say they're gonna take your black card. They take all this stuff. First of all, you can't do nothing with that black card, so y'all keep it. I don't want it. I never wanted it. I don't even know what that is. And this is my point. You see how they say? They have nothing of substance. They only know how to criticize. You get what I'm saying? But meanwhile, I pay so close attention and I am 100% benefiting from it. 100%. Is the man perfect? Nope. Far from it. But if I was running the country, there would be very little that I'll be doing different. In fact, you don't let anyone else talk, blah, blah, blah. They can talk. It's a free country. All you have to do if you want to talk is go create your own platform and go talk. That way you can do what I'm doing or be even greater. And that's the truth. And I didn't listen. I found out the truth, and I didn't go by CNN, ABC, Fox. None of these knew. I went and dig my own found. I went and dug up the truth. And this is why I tell people that the stock market is one of my number one educators. Because when you know what they're about to lie and do slick stuff about, and you kind of get a window of what they're doing, you see where it's going. Thank God you're not running anything in my life. Yes, I am. You just don't know it. Go buy yourself some groceries. See that? They don't have nothing else but insults. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yep. And I ain't going to never stop, Donald. You already know it. My haters is my motivators. The haters are my motivators. They keep me motivated. Hate to break the news, but MAGA owns you. Make America Great Again owns me. You ain't breaking no news for me. You see, because the Democrats own y'all. The liberals own y'all. Then you tell me what the Democrats done for you that's so great. Meanwhile, you here. Making America Great Again, when I knew that they was going to do all this stuff, here's the thing. That's why when I start talking about investing, right? For those that did follow, that's been following my channel for a while, I kept telling everybody what I was going to do and what I was going to buy. Right? I said, oh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. Why? Because I seen what the outcome of it was going to be. With my little bit of money. Donald. Yeah, obviously you can't read. Again, I always hear these people complaining, but they never can tell me meaningful what the Democrats done. Donald, you sound like me, like you asking to come on my show. You ain't ready for me, Donald. Although you're not coming on my show, but you definitely ain't ready for me. I will rip through you so bad it'd be funny. You would hate me. You would literally hate my guts. There's so much that I do not talk about on my show. Inflation Reduction Act. So you're telling me that inflation is higher than it was when Biden was in the office, Donald? You're telling me right now that inflation is higher right now than when Biden was in office, where it peaked off at? My thing is, Donald, if you got so much to say, why you haven't started your own channel? You so much on Donald Trump's penis that you named your channel after him. What's going on, 1465? God bless you. God bless you. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all hitting that subscribe button. Appreciate it very, very, very much. like your wig. You think my hair is a wig? Wow. Donald, you need help, bro. Inflation was at like 8% when Biden was in office. What are you talking about, bro? If inflation, retard, if inflation was higher, why are the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates? You're not making sense. Why would the Federal Reserve lower interest rates if they're not trying to combat inflation? The reason why the Fed increases interest rates is so they can combat inflation, so that they can drain the economy of money to control inflation, to make these businesses have to compete for your dollar. So if the interest rates are lowering, how in the world is that increasing inflation? Bro, go get help. He said, my hair real. And this is my point. The whole purpose behind the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, right? This is how this works. Because I saw this coming. And I tried to explain to people that I knew personally. I said, listen, I'm telling y'all right now, it's about to get real. So if you don't understand what's coming, you're going to get your behind handed to you. All of these people that was talking about, oh, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to retire. I'm going to do all of this because they thought that this was the real world. And then the gangster behind Federal Reserve started raising interest rates, drained all that money out of the economy and washed it away. Because I knew what was coming. And I tried to prepare people that I knew personally. You don't know what's coming. I'm trying to tell you, you better hold on to something because it's about to get real. And then what did the Feds do? They started raising them interest rates. Why? To get all of that inflation that the Biden administration had created because they flooded all that money out there for free. Because only the government can cause inflation. And then when the Fed stepped in, drained all that money out, now you got people crying broke. Why? Because they wasn't prepared for what was coming financially. But I was. I knew it. I seen it. I said, oh, it's about to get real. But I'm going to benefit from it too because I know the game. And now all of a sudden the interest rates are being lowered. Why? Because they're not fighting inflation. Inflation is always going to fluctuate. There's going to be some moments where it's higher. There's going to be some moments when it's lower. So inflation is something we're going to always have to deal with. But from a person that is investor minded, the key to investing is to make sure that the return on your investment is outpacing inflation. Therefore, when it comes down to the hardship, you will be okay because your investments are outpacing inflation. So it doesn't affect you like it affects people that are irresponsible with their money. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. Appreciate you very, very much. You boys, perfect. Perfect. God bless you, Gary. Smart money. Smart money. And when I heard them talk about what they were doing, when I heard Trump talking about putting tariffs on these companies or forcing them to start bringing back to the country, forcing them to bring businesses back here. And I said that this thing was going to go crazy. That's why I tried to encourage the people that was on my live. I said, I didn't tell them what to buy, but I said, I'm buying Ford stock. I told everybody I'm buying Ford stock. I had a little bit, but I upped the game on it. And I don't have a lot of money. I'm telling y'all, I don't have a lot of money, but I'm working on it every single day. And Ford stock, and I got plenty of them, but I'm just saying because not long ago, I kept saying this on different stocks that I intended to buy. Different stocks that I intended to buy. And right now, I'm up 38% on Ford. 38%. Right now, and if I were to sell my stock that I have in Ford, I'd be up 38% return. And that dude making a ton of money. And all I did was said, I'm going to buy Ford because I see where this is going to go. Now, I'm not selling my Ford, but I'm holding on to it. But I'm just telling y'all what I did. I kept talking about it. I kept saying what I was going to buy. I got money in every semiconductor chip maker you could possibly name. Tell you another one that I was buying. Every chip maker you could possibly name, I was buying their stock. Because I saw what was coming. Yep. And Dirty Money, I remember you mentioning it too. We talked about that a little while ago. And I'm going to give y'all another one. And I kept trying to tell people that I was buying. Right? KLAC. Right? And it is actually going down a little bit. I am up 83% on KLAC. I own it currently at an average cost of $652. The current price of it is $1,194, but it was as high as over $1,200. So again, And I'm not saying I'm winning on every investment. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But I was talking about the stuff that I was doing a while ago. And for the people that follow my channel on a regular basis, they would know. And I kept saying what I was buying. That's all I kept doing. And I said, I'm not telling nobody what to buy. I'm just telling y'all what I'm doing. And guess what? Someone asked me, and they said, someone asked me, if you had $10,000, where would you put it? And I remember this conversation. And I said, I will put it. I said, me personally, I would have, because of the price at the time, I said, I'd dump it all in AGNC. And they said, why? I said, because the amount of dividends that I would get off of that would be roughly well over $100 a month. That's why I would do it. And at that time, the stock was like below $9 a share, I think. It's currently at $10 or something a share. But that company been paying 12 cents a share every single month. So if that person would have put that $10,000 there, they would have been getting well over $100 a month in dividends every single month. And this is the reason why sometimes you got to get out of your feelings and your emotions about stuff and learn how to stop letting these politicians get you all emotionally riled up and get you mad and all up out of your feelings, as opposed to looking for opportunity and listen to what they campaigning and talking about doing, so that you could position yourself to be able to benefit from what's happening. Invest in America. That's the way to go. And that's exactly what I did. I bought Stellantis. I'm in the green. I bought Ford. I'm in the green. I bought General Motors. I'm in the green. And this is the thing. Here's the thing. I had no intentions of selling it. I'm just telling y'all what I was doing. And then if you go back to my old video, you're like, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. And I was trying to hurry up because I said I want to get it in there now before it does what it's going to do, what I believe it's going to do. And Joyce, you more likely probably right. Like I own, and I get it. I own stock in Taiwan Semiconductors. I own stock in all of them. Why? Because business is business. And that's why I do talk about investing. Not because I'm the smartest guy there when it comes to investing. That's why I talk about it. That's it. And for somebody that on my live, and if they get something out of it, they do. If they don't, they don't. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's working for me. But anyway, for those that are on the live, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very much. Make sure y'all hang on. I'm getting ready to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging in with a brother. Appreciate it. God bless every single one of y'all. It's been amazing, like always. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yes, StreamYard is set up to do both sides where you can wide screen and vertical stream at the same time. But oh, that's good information to know. Yeah, you're right, Joyce. But with that said, I got to get up out of here. Make sure every single one of y'all have a blessed day. And there's a lot of things that Ron's opinion don't matter on. But when it comes to having a relationship with Jesus Christ and giving your life to him and trusting him, that is the one true thing that I say my opinion matters on. And with that said, every single one of y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. And I'm out of here. Peace. Have a blessed one, y'all.